We are picking up from where we stopped off yesterday. And when we were working these problems yesterday, I had you finish up problems 3A and B. And we had talked about the different types of solutions. And so we have already worked through one that has 2 solutions. And so let's go ahead and work through these other ones. So we have them both equal to y. And that means I can set them equal to each other. And that gives me 4x squared plus 2x plus 5 is equal to negative 2x plus 4. Now I need to move everything to the same side. So add the 2x and subtract the 4. Add 2x, subtract 4. And I end up with 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now I can use the quadratic formula. A is equal to 4, B is equal to 4, and C is equal to 1. And the first steps of the quadratic formula is to find that discriminant of b squared minus 4ac. And when I plug that in, I get 4 squared minus 4 times 4 times 1. So b squared is 16 minus 16 gives me 0. Now I'm going to plug it into the rest of the discriminant, or rest of the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of my discriminant, all divided by 2a. Opposite of b is negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 0, all divided by 2 times my a, which is 4. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of 0. So it doesn't matter whether I add or subtract 0. It doesn't change the number, so I do not need to write that. All divided by 8. And so I have negative 1/2 as my x. Now I need to find my y. So I'm going to choose one of these two equations to plug the x into to help find it. And so I'm going to plug it into the first one. Negative 2 times negative 1/2 plus 4. And so negative 2 times a negative 1/2 is a 1. Plus 4 is 5. And so this is one where it would only give me one solution because I didn't have 2 x values. So my one solution is negative 1/2, comma 5. So let's now work the B one. So again, we have y equals on both of them. So that means we can set them equal to each other. So 3x squared plus x minus 3 is equal to negative 4x minus 7. I again want to get everything over to my x squared side. So add the 4x and add the 7. And so we come up with 3x squared plus 5x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now we're going to plug it, we need to find our a, b, c, so we can plug it into the quadratic formula. Our a is 3, our b is 5, and our c is 4. So we're going to plug it into the b squared minus 4ac first. And so 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times 4 So 5 squared is 25. And 12 times 4 is 48. 25 minus 48 gives me 23. And a negative, because the negative 48 is larger than the positive 25. And so when I plug that in, we end up with a negative as our discriminant. So when we're plugging that in, that's going to go under our square root. So let's go ahead and plug it into the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus the square root of our discriminant over 2a. So opposite of b is negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 23 over 2a. And a was the 3. So when we take the square root of a negative number, that's going to result in an imaginary solution. And which is going to mean that for the answer, it's going to be no solution. Because there's going to be no time that that line is going to cross that parabola. So again, if you get the imaginary solution, that means that the answer is no solution. So a system of equations consisting of two linear equations has how many possible solutions? Well, we could have one intersection. We can have 0 intersections or no solution. Or we can have infinite many. And if we have a system of equations that consists of a linear equation and a quadratic, well, we could end up with 2 solutions, 1 solution, or 0 or no solution. And we cannot have infinitely many like we talked about in class, because there's no way that a line and a parabola can completely overlap.